there is a point to where the world is not telling you guys no the way the world is telling me no. Yeah. No, I love that point that you made before, and you have a podcast too, which is like the idea that we're doing this thing and then men are falling short, because both things are true, right? We have a situation with women who they have delusional beliefs about what they're going to get later on in life. The thing I posted today where there was a girl and there was a lady, she's a sweet lady. She was a makeup artist. She had an IMDb page. And in her mind, the fact that it didn't make any difference that she was fairly overweight, the fact of the matter was she was a 10 in her mind. And my point was, I didn't say she wasn't a 10. In fact, Kylie called her a 10. What I said instead was, as men, we can't do that. We can't call ourselves a 10. When we go up to try to do a job, like again, if I go to try to play for the Golden Knights, I'm like, hey, I feel like because of my personal self-worth, because of my self-esteem, you're going to make me the fucking goalie tonight. Security would throw me out on my ass. If I go to a car dealership and I was like, hey, man, that Bugatti or that Ferrari, that's leaving with me. I'd like to take that. Well, but, sir, you don't have enough money in your account. But it feels like I do. I feel like I have good energy and my chakras are open and I'm a Gemini. And because of
Put me in, coach.
And because of these things,
the stars are aligning.
Because I have great energy and my number signs have lined up, I should be able to take. I'm going to manifest that Ferrari. They're going to be like, excuse me, sir, the police are on their way. Yeah. That's what happens next. Do you understand? As men, every day, you like just think about deadlifting. Every day for us as men, we're deadlifting those no's that we get every single fucking day. And sometimes as women,
no's from what though?
From the
rejection in general.
Women who don't want to date us, jobs that we can't get,
okay, I got you.
athleticism we don't have, dreams we couldn't accomplish, popularity, a social status, and social media influence that we don't have, money we don't have. We're constantly being told no for these things. Now, I'm not saying women don't have to deal with these things.
I feel like women have no's too.
They do too, but there is a certain point for women where they're being told yes. When I first moved here and I tried to go on... Teresa, when I first moved here and I tried to go on stage at XS, what do you think happened to me when took my brown ass up to excuse me, sir, no, you need a fucking wristband.
What are you doing?
It only took me 10 years making friends with every single executive at the fucking Win, having a podcast. Now I can go up there some of the time. Like that's what happens. That's what happens. Teresa, if we went to try to go up on stage at XS, how much trouble would you have?
No. What, for me or for you?
Yeah, for you.
I mean, probably I'd be okay.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I think I could get you in.
Excess is not normally my vibe, but when I do go to the club, I'm the one that always likes to dance on the stage.
Okay.
So like when they bring all the
Kat, if we're trying to go on stage, if we're trying to go on stage over at Zook, how much trouble are you going to have?
No trouble.
No trouble. And if you have a bunch of dudes with you, are you going to have trouble getting them up?
Them, yes.
Yes. Okay. So do you guys understand the point? There is a point to where the world is not telling you guys no the way the world is telling me no. Yeah. When I graduated from college, I was the big shit because I was a senior in college. And then I graduated and went into the workforce, and I wasn't shit. But you want to know what happened to all
everybody, though.
You know what happened to my 22-year-old female friends? They were doing great. They were awesome. They were doing just fine.
Welcome to the world. If you're going to talk about that, though, then you have to talk about the sense of how men are still paid more than females. Because that's not fair in a sense, too. I get that we obviously...
let her finish.
I get that we obviously get some more yeses in certain aspects in life than men possibly ever could.
Okay.
But... men do still get paid. Even at the same job, the glass ceiling. So
let's talk about this. Does anybody else have an issue with this, or do you all agree that with the pay wage gap? Anybody disagree with that, or anybody just don't have an opinion? You just don't know? Because we're going to talk about it.
It depends on the field that you're in.
I
We would say what she was saying. We would have to say that men get told no on certain things, and then women get told no on certain things too. I don't really think the pay, but just what they were saying earlier about when women get older, it's harder for them. Okay, well, there's our no. Like and he's saying, oh, I'm young, I'm a young guy, and I don't have my shit together, so I'm being told no. Okay, great. Well, now let's reverse it. Like girls are being told no. Our no
seems fair to me.
Older and like whatever. So
seems fair to me.
That would be the equilibrium.
Teresa,
men must become women just are.
Teresa, when you control for years of service and occupation, the pay wage gap still does exist, but it's nowhere near what you think it is.
No,
it's nowhere near. So, for instance, there was this article that came out about Uber drivers who were men and Uber drivers that were women, and men getting paid more per hour. And the thing is, this is absurdity because it's a fucking app and it doesn't pay you more because you're a man or a woman. But the reason why was because men have 17 times as much testosterone as women, and it makes them faster drivers. And that is the reason why men were getting paid more per hour than women were being Uber drivers. Yes, that is the reason why. It is generally 95% of psychologists under the age of 30 are women.
Female.
Engineers tend to be by men. Now compare the average, like just say nurse or elementary school teacher, which by the way, there are almost no male elementary school teachers at all. There compare all these female elementary school teachers and people who go into nursing versus people who go into engineering and places like that. These jobs just pay more. And that's one of the reasons why there's a quote-unquote wage gap.
Any wage gap that still exists is not because of endemic sexism, put it that way.
There's no way to get, like, do you understand? If you and I, for instance, if you were an engineer here and you could prove that Chase and Austin and George made more money than you would have a lawsuit. It would take 0.2 of a second to have a lawsuit. There would be no problem. If you could prove that you were being paid a different wage based on how much money you make. Now, when we get to things like soccer and professional basketball, you understand why WNBA players don't make the same amount as NBA players, right?
They probably also don't bring as much people.
Because they're boring.
Go ahead, Lana.
I'm like, it's just automatic. Like when you watch sports, even me as a female, I would rather watch men play sports than women. So merchandise and sponsorships and all that bullshit, they get paid more because we actually watch them.
It's a completely different game. Men's soccer and women's soccer are completely different games because you're playing because you're
playing with titties.
Yeah, exactly. There are physical differences, but the fact of the matter is that because we want to think of men and women as blank slates and that we're doing equal pay for the equal job, you're not doing an equal job. So the joke I always say is like when you see like Megan Rapinoe like complaining about the Olympic soccer team, female soccer team, not getting the same amount of pay as the male soccer team, or or a WNBA versus the NBA kind of thing. They're not playing the same game, and they're not to the same performance level and the same draw as the other.
There's an exception, like female tennis. They actually draw more sometimes than men, and they make more money. And but let me tell you something: if female MMA fighters were just so awesome, and I could watch it, and it was awesome, and they made more money, men would not complain that female MMA fighters made more money than men. No men would complain about that. That's not the issue. And also in the NBA, nobody in the NBA is like, man, we got to do something to make sure women don't go try to play for the Lakers. Nobody's doing that. We're not forcing protections on that. Now, what happens then later when we have people who were born as men go try to play in the WNBA, and they will try. They will try often. They will try a lot. Coming up here real soon, that thing is going to happen. And by the way, I disagree with you. I actually, this is where it gets kind of crazy. I love basketball more than anything. I watch sometimes WNBA games. They're nowhere near as good as men's games. You're right. But if I met Candace Parker, she would probably beat my ass at basketball. She's 6'6".
She's a professional.
For sure. Yeah. But they're not bad.
But LeBron against her.
Of course, LeBron would tear. So what I'm saying is, a lot of people are like, WNBA is trash compared to the NBA. Yes, it is trash, but it's not. It's actually better than pickup basketball. It actually is pretty good basketball. The problem is they're not as good. They're not as good as men, and so the draw. And it's not like they're 50% as good, so they should make 50% as much. They're 50% as good or 10% as good, and they can't make anywhere near as much because all of the traffic goes to the NBA, which, by the way, the NBA subsidizes the WNBA, and the WNBA loses $10 million a year.